everyone, I'm Pacific, and just like you in Age of Empires 4, my older sibling kicks my ass all the time in Age 2, and I am in Age 4 trying to redeem myself. And today, what I wanted to share with you guys is tips to just not suck at Age of Empires 4. Now, I'm going to say this. If you've played Age of Empires 2 a lot and Age of Empires 3 a lot, almost all of these tips are going to be irrelevant to you because you've learned these already. But if you want to see what I have to say, stay tuned for more information. So yes, my older brother showed me Age of Empires 2 back when I was a young lad, and I have not beat him at that game since. But he's taught me a lot about real-time strategy games and how to simply not suck at Age of Empires and always have a fighting chance. I have 12 tips, and we're going to start with the biggest problem that new players are going to have, which is making the town center idle or not produce settlers or villagers. This is the biggest problem that newer players have, and this is something that all my friends who've never played this kind of real-time strategy game before, it is the thing that I made them work on first. I made them do it, guys. Because here's the thing. In Age of Empires, the whole point about the early game is making sure that you're always building settlers, and the entire point of people raiding you early is ultimately to kill off villagers, because you have a set rate at which you can build villagers. A villager will always take you 20 seconds, which means that every villager he kills, you must build back in 20 seconds. You can't build any other town centers, which means that his attacks, he knows what he's getting out of it. And it's crippling in the beginning, because in the beginning, the difference between 7 and 10 settlers is huge. The difference between someone having 97 villagers and 100 villagers, like, that doesn't matter. 10 to 7, that's a huge difference. I will tell you, the person with 10 villagers will beat the person with 7 villagers. The person with 97 villagers versus the guy with 100 villagers, it's a toss. This is gonna screw you over if your town center isn't always producing villagers, because when it starts to get later on in the game, the person that built a bunch of villagers in the beginning of the game is going to beat you no matter what, because you might have better soldiers than them, you might be able to counter them, but they are simply going to be able to produce more people than you, do more things than you, and be able to hold more points than you. No matter what, if you take nothing away from this video, always remember your town center always produces villagers. Period. The second thing is having no unit variety. Now there's a caveat to this. If you're planning with your buddies, you have 4 friends, even just one other friend playing, and you are specializing in units, that's a bit different. But let's say you're 1v1ing someone and you're England and you only build archers. You are gonna lose. Age of Empires is a game of rock, paper, scissors, and English longbowmen can't counter everything. Eventually, he's gonna send catapults at you. Eventually, he's gonna have way better armor than you, to where your archer's arrows don't matter. Archer arrows do like 1 damage to buildings. You're not gonna be able to destroy their buildings fast enough at all. And you're just going to get countered by things because every single unit has a counter. And if you don't have the counter to that counter, right? So, for example, English longbowmen suck against men-at-arms. If you don't have the counter to men-at-arms, which is either a wall, or maybe a knight, or even some spearmen or other men-at-arms, you're not gonna be able to win a fight. So make sure you have something, some sort of unit variety. The best thing I can tell you is have a cavalry and an archer. If that's all you can handle, that's fine. A cavalry unit and an archer will cover all your bases. Of course, you know, you're not gonna be able to counter everything, but if your brain just can't wrap around, you know, combining man-at-arms and mangonels and this, knights and archers, or even horsemen and archers. The third thing that a lot of my friends did that was a huge problem is only building 1 unit producing building. So 1 barracks, 1 archery range, 1 cavalry stable. Let me put it to you this way. I don't know exactly how long it takes to build a man-at-arms, but let's say it takes 20 seconds to build a man-at-arms. That means I can produce a maximum of 3 men-at-arms a minute. Let's say I have an army of 100 men-at-arms and they all die. How long does it take me to build that army back up? It's going to take me over a half an hour to rebuild my men-at-arms. If I build 2 barracks, right, so I can produce 6 men-at-arms a minute, now in 10 minutes I have 60 men-at-arms. That's pretty good. If I build 10 barracks, okay, this is gonna sound like a lot, but in late game that's not a lot at all. If I build 10 barracks, each one can produce 3 men-at-arms a minute. In 3 minutes, I have 100 man-at-arms back online, ready to go kill some people. What you're gonna notice if you're a noob playing against a good player is you're gonna destroy his army, right? But by the time you get to his base, he's gonna have another army ready to go. If he destroys your army that you took a long time to build, and he goes to your base because you only have one archery range and one barracks, one whatever, you're gonna have like no army left. Whatever place is trying to produce my military units, honestly, a good rule to follow is try to have 10 of that unit producing building. If you're building archers, 10 archery ranges down by the end of the game. The fourth thing that a lot of new players don't do is they don't scout. Either they just don't scout unless they finally need something. So for example, your berry bushes ran out, you gotta look for deer. Or they scout the map initially and don't rescout it. My friends have actually been screwed over by this before because they didn't scout the map and keep scouting. And oh, surprise, that route that you were gonna take, there's a wall now. And also there's a castle and it just shot up your guys and killed like 4 dudes before you could run away. So always try to be scouting, and for that matter, building towers, having map information, because map information in the higher levels is going to be key to being able to win anything. If you know, because you scouted, that he has knights, you're gonna build some spearmen and counter him and win. If you don't know, you might build the wrong unit. Then let's say you counter that, 10 minutes go by in the game. You have spearmen, he might build archers to kill all your spearmen. And you didn't scout it, so you didn't know to build some horsemen or knights to counter those archers. And number 5 is misuse of siege equipment. So I see 2 main problems with noobs and siege equipment. One is they never build it, which is very wrong to do because that's the fastest way you can destroy buildings. And when your units aren't focusing on destroying buildings, they can focus on killing other units so they don't get overwhelmed. Putting a ram on a town center and having all your man-at-arms killing guys is way more effective than trying to split them up. The other thing that they do is, let's say I want to raid a guy's base. They build their rams right in their base and then march across the map at the slow-ass ram speed across the map to the guy's base. You should not do that because the slower you move, the higher the chances that you're going to get found out. And also, your rams are slow. If you need to run away, all those rams you built are gonna probably die. The next thing that you could do to just not suck at Age of Empires is actually use the market. My 3 friends, when they were noobs, they would never ever build a market, which means they can never trade resources to do other things, and they would never have traders, which means very simply, their gold was always lower, and they're stuck building trash units. They don't have any gold. They can't just build knights without any gold. So just remember to use the market, just at all. Use it at all. Lots of players that I fight, I'll fight in quick match, and I keep an eye on the market because prices change, and I'll be like 40 minutes in a game and see that the price of food hasn't changed at all because the other guy's never sold any food. I'll sell a bunch of food or something and build a bunch of siege engines, and surprise, I have a bunch of siege engines magically. Oh no, how'd he do that? And I'll have a constant flow of gold because of the traders. So when I finally do run out of gold mines in my base over a long game, I'm not screwed. Number 7 is a little weird one, that's situational. Stockpiling resources. Lots of noobs will stockpile resources, but in the wrong way. If you're trying to age up or save up for an upgrade, or you've actually literally built everything, of course you're gonna stockpile resources. I mean, what else are you gonna do? But if you are in the Dark Age and you have 500 food at all times, that's just a complete waste. Think of it like this. Every resource that you have in your stockpile is not doing anything. And you need to have a good reason why it's not doing anything, or you need to spend it. A lot of players, if you watch very, very good players, in the beginning of the game, they will have like less than 100 of all the resources at all times unless they're aging up or saving for an expensive unit, because they're always building, always improving. The player that always does that in the beginning of the game will beat the player that just magically has 500 food just laying around doing nothing. I mean, think about it. 500 food, that's 10 villagers. What would you rather have? 500 food in case you start getting invaded to then somehow build men-at-arms to defend yourself even though your buildings are getting destroyed? Or have 10 villagers that have already been collecting more? Number 8 and 9 about how to not suck at this game go hand in hand, and that's building walls and having map control. Lots of new players in any real-time strategy game will not branch out and take control of the map. Controlling the map means very simply that, let's just say some place is safe, right? For example, inside of your base at the very, very beginning of the game, you control that part of the map. Because if they tried to destroy your town center with villagers, all their villagers are going to die, right? You control that map. But let's say you build a castle and some walls around a sacred site. That's your sacred site. They're going to have to do a lot more work to capture it. That's a pretty important part of the map. Let's say you're playing on French Pass and you control the middle valley with all the gold in it. That's all your gold. It's not like they're going to sneak in some miners and mine it from you. Map control and walls help you control the map to keep stuff away from your opponent. Even if you're never going to mine that gold, they can't have it. It gives you access to resources, and it shrinks the amount of the map that you don't know. Think of the map Mountain Pass or French Pass. Let's say you build a wall, right? You build a wall on both sides of the map. You now know that everything on your side of the map is safe, and you don't have to sit there, scout it out, be afraid of enemies, killing your villagers. No, you know that. And if one of those walls gets attacked, not only do you know the location of the guy's army, but you know where it's at, what he has, and how fast or slow he's moving. The last tip, which is really a kind of advanced thing to think about, but it's easy in the beginning of the game to get messed up on, is the way that you build buildings, or the thing that we call the build order, right? For example, let's say you start with 150 wood. Should you right out the gate build 3 houses? The answer is no, because number one, you're not going to fill up the population those 3 houses give you, and you just made it so that your gold miners that need to mine gold to get you to the next age have a crap ton of distance to walk to drop off gold. That's a pretty easy example. But what I want you to think about is, if you want archers in the beginning of the game, why would you build a barracks? If you're not going to use the blacksmith upgrades, why would you build a blacksmith? Why would you build all 19 of your houses first instead of building a couple extra archery ranges or a couple extra barracks first? The last 2 tips are more advanced, but I still think that you need to master them to not suck at this game. So tip number 11 is make sure that you use monks and collect relics. There are some very powerful relic bonuses that other civs get. I mean, right out the gate, a relic's going to give you 100 gold a minute. That's a lot of gold to get per minute for free without having a villager do anything. But there's other people that get even better bonuses. If you're the Holy Roman Empire, you get the special cathedral, which can put 3 relics in, and those relics each generate 300 gold a minute. So if you don't capture those relics and a Holy Roman Emperor gets it, you now have to deal with a guy that gets 900 gold a minute for free. I mean, if you're 2v2 and the other people have 2 Holy Roman Emperors and there's 6 relics, your enemies are getting 1,800 free gold a minute. That's a lot of gold. And the 12th tip that I really think you guys should master is knowing when and when not to age up. If you're being invaded and you have 1 villager left, and you don't have a lot of food, and your buddies are keeping you safe from that invasion, you should be building villagers, not aging up. On the contrary, if you've maxed out all your blacksmith upgrades, all your unit upgrades, and you're just building more instead of advancing to the Imperial Age to get gunpowder units, you're probably doing something wrong. Always remember that when you age up, the units you unlock are going to be extremely powerful. Knights are better than horsemen. Crossbowmen are sometimes better than archers. Think about it this way. If you have a French player on the other team, they're going to build knights. Would you rather have archers, or would you rather have crossbowmen to fight those knights? Not to mention, you'll get even more upgrades to your units. And if someone's in Imperial Age, they can build a wonder and win the game. That is a threat at all times. And they have bombards, which are the best building destroyers in the game. And all their stuff is going to be harder to destroy because all their towers can now have cannons in them. So that is it, guys. That is my guide on how to not suck at Age of Empires 4. It's got 12 tips in there. I kind of tried to arrange them in range of importance. I'm looking at my notes now. There's really nothing that I would consider like I would move. But the big important one is always be producing villagers. Always be doing it, guys. Every game, shoot for a goal of 100 villagers. It's really important that you constantly build villagers so that your economy is stronger. And simply having more villagers means that you can produce more stuff, which means that you're going to be able to respond to threats and do things to win the game faster. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, let me know in the comments below and subscribe for more Age of Empires 4 content. I'm Pacific, and I will see you in the next one.